Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of MTG Study Hall. I am one of your hosts, Brett, and I am joined by my co-hosts,
JC
and
Dave.
And so we've got some. There's literally nothing to talk about except the coronavirus, it seems like, in the world. So we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about a few other things. So it's not all coronavirus, but
To be fair, in the pre-show, which you can get through our Patreon, we talked about the recent bannings. So there's that.
we talked about magic. We talked about magic topics in the pre-show, which is kind of a miracle. But before we get into all of that excellent content that we were just talking about, or that already happened. Anyway, Dave, for the love of God, someone talk but me.
So you can support the show by checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, all at the respective domains /TCG University. We're available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. Go out and rate us. Give us some number of stars. Five of them. We want 5 stars. That's 10. That's 10 stars, JC. But that's fine. There we go.
You can review us twice and give us 10.
All according to plan. But help us grow by sharing with your friends, family, on your Bookface, your Twitters, your Instagram, your MySpace, Friendster.
Google Plus,
Google Plus, if you're on Google Plus.
which no one is anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't?
They canceled it.
Speaking of canceled, we still have more things to talk about, though.
And speaking of the pre-show on Patreon, these are our Patreon Junior or higher sponsors. We really appreciate you. Andrew Dang, Clay Cardwell, Jay Rogers, Jarrett Hubbard, Jerome Weeks Jr., Justin Farce, Kat Maria, Kevin Broberg, Lucinda Letica, Paul Casagrande, Samantha Stevens, Teodoro Ruiz, and Tyler Zane Peace. Thank you so much.
Okay, and then real quick, we kind of talked about it a little bit in the pre-show, but what have we all been doing in Magic? Dave, what have you been doing in Magic?
It's still playing Sultai Standard, not Arena. That's about it. So it's a lot of fun casting Casualties of War, as I think you figured out as well. Casualties of War is great.
It's better to be on the sending side of that card than the receiving side of that card. So yeah, I completely agree. JC?
Not too much, honestly. I've been really busy with transitioning from one job to another job and continuing to unpack and move in and stuff like that. So I've been pretty much in the, I work on a bunch of stuff and then I sleep for the last week.
Yeah, you've got a lot of life happening at the moment.
I've had a lot of life.
Yeah, so I feel like I just buy Magic stuff right now.
Yeah.
I ordered the.
I listen to podcasts about Magic.
I bought the Women's Day Secret Lair. I'm probably gonna buy the Thalia Secret Lair that's going on. If you're watching the show live on Thursday, you can buy the Thalia Secret Lair. If you're watching it on Monday, it's too late. And then I got the Unbox, and then I'm just looking at all of the stuff that there is to buy coming up soon with the Ikoria decks and all that. So yeah, I've also been playing a little limited on Arena, doing Brawling with Brett, which I love recording that show. I am going to actually start streaming. I know I keep saying that. I am going to start streaming soon, so you can, at the very least, we'll do Brawling with Brett live, and then maybe I'll stick around and mess around a little bit afterwards. But anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get on to it. So everything's canceled. Basically. So we're going to talk about the coronavirus and how that is impacting Magic the Gathering. If you're watching this in the future, that's good to know that there's a future.
In the future.
But if you are not watching this semi-close to air date, then you are aware that that is basically all anyone is talking about, because we are literally in the midst of a global pandemic, that's the World Health Organization?
Yes, the World Health Organization. I believe the CDC also agrees with them.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure we got
it's upside down.
Our facts as it is upside down.
Oh, no.
We wanted to get our facts as straight as possible, so we did some actual homework on this episode, so you're welcome. I do want to preface this saying is we aren't doctors. We aren't trained. So if you have questions about the coronavirus, read up on what the World Health Organization, the CDC, your local government, or your doctor has to say about it. We aren't one of those things. But we are going to talk about it a little bit. We are doing our best to make sure we've got our facts right, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I'm going to rely on Dave and JC on that, because I'm mostly focused on the Magic-related side of things. So let's... Y'all want to talk about it? Just get everyone a little filled in, and then I'll move on to all of the Magic crap that's been canceled.
All right, so COVID-19, as most, I'm sure it's impossible at this point for someone to not know what's going on. If they have any access to television or internet or printed media. The short version is it is the seasonal flu, and it is highly contagious, more contagious than normal. It started in Wuhan, has spread across the globe, getting to the point where there are many quarantines already within the United States. We have the entirety of Italy functionally shut down. Many companies have suspended various sporting events, planned conferences. As an idea, last night while watching Twitter, over the course of maybe 2 hours, we saw from the next 4 Grand Prix for Magic being canceled, SCG canceling their next 2 events, numerous smaller cash tournaments within the Midwest canceling their events, the NBA suspending their season, among many
College
other
World
things.
Series. We were in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes.
College World Series isn't happening.
Disneyland closed.
Whew. Yeah, no, it feels like at work, this is like all anyone's talking about. It
NBA
feels like every time
canceled.
you talk to somebody else, you're like, this school district closed or this is happening. So it's kind of crazy right now.
It makes me wonder what local card game shops are going to do about Friday Night Magics and stuff if they're going to cancel any of those.
So that's part of why I kind of pitched this in our group chat as far as a topic to cover, because I think that for a lot of different stores, it's not very feasible for them to do without tournaments. I think there are going to be a decent amount of them that will cancel or postpone events, but I think a lot of them are going to think of it as, well, the show must go on. I can't not hold these events. I can't not get revenue for the store.
Right.
So I think as far as that goes, I think there are going to be a decent amount of people that still play Magic and are looking at it going, well, I'm good at F&M. This isn't a big deal. This is just the flu. I'll wash my hands. Well, if you have that mentality, obviously, I don't think anything that I'm going to say or we're going to say is going to stop anyone. But if for whatever reason you do feel it necessary to go out and play an F&M, and potentially the pre-release, if this is still
Going
as
on
hot
during
an
that,
item,
Yeah.
which we expect it to be at this point.
Yeah, odds are.
Then definitely take some sort of precautions. If you do not feel well, stay home. Just self-quarantine.
Pre-release, not pre-release. If you don't feel well, contact a medical professional, talk to them, take their advice, and stay the hell home.
And to be clear, this is not us just saying it. We are parroting things that the CDC is saying.
Correct. Yes. This is and in all honesty, a lot of these practices you should be doing anyway. You should be washing your hands regularly. You should really refrain from touching your face. Like, obviously, I'm sure that I've done it 5 times since we started.
Oh, yeah.
On camera, yeah, I'm
But,
sure.
yeah, it's a thing that it's good to get into the habit of, especially if you work food service. I'm sure those of you that have worked food service jobs in the past have gotten the various lectures of you wash your hands every hour on the hour. Don't touch your face. Touch your face, cool. Go wash your hands, and obviously wash your hands when you leave the bathroom. Just period. Whether you use the bathroom or not, just wash your hands. You know what? If you're watching this right now, pause it, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, come back. Like, there's no harm in that at that point. Sure, your skin's going to get dried out. Invest in lotion. It's fine. Bath and Body Works, I'm sure they have some sort of sale going on. But that's something to keep in mind, at least. And definitely have good health practices if you do decide that you want to go out and play in Magic events. If your local game store is going to be running an F&M, great. If you're feeling up for it, that's fine. Try and minimize contact with your opponent. As awkward as it is, I guess we can kind of get into the whole handshake thing.
Yeah, because I think it was
Fist bump.
I don't think the CDC, somebody recommended today, and that's one of the problems. I want to give good information. Somebody was like, avoid handshakes. So I've heard jazz hands. So it's
I've seen the leg, the kick shoe thing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Like bump leg, like kick,
Yeah.
like bump calves. That seems fun.
I've seen the thing from Demolition Man where you don't exactly make contact and do one of these is along the lines of a high five. If you've worked in kitchens, I think I have to blame Jimmy John's for the sanitary elbow. That's probably still not a good idea because you still have skin on skin contact. Hey, we're all nerds. Why not just do this?
I like that.
It's another thing that's been floating around the internet.
Isn't there a number of people who
that a lot.
can't do that?
If
I can with my left hand, but that's because I broke a finger back in high school. It's not pretty. I can with my right hand,
so
which I think is the right hand.
You can't do it because you broke your finger.
Yeah, this one is funny.
All right, because I was gonna say, like, those of you that can't, just be like, Brett, break your finger, and then you can't. No, don't actually break appendages. Don't do that. But yeah, and a lot of these are options that they're there are going to be a lot of things likely that are going to come into question as far as, why are we still doing this? And maybe that's a good conversation to have. Maybe it's something we probably should have talked about beforehand. Like the handshake is definitely kind of antiquated.
Well, and it's hard too because especially at Friday Night Magic's different things, gatherings where you're playing Magic, people pick up your cards to read your cards.
Yeah.
Oh, shuffle your deck too.
Shuffle your
Or
deck.
to cut your deck.
Or like
as far as the floor rules go, for competitive play, at certain levels of play, you are obligated to shuffle your opponent's deck.
Yeah, you got to pick it up. And so it's tricky, and also something. I mean, yeah, it's going to be tricky to play in events potentially. But another issue is like Dave was mentioning with local game stores. Local game stores are generally kind of a it's not a high profit business, and there is probably a lot of local game stores out there that are really kind of month to month.
It's usually why they also sell comics and also sell nerd stuff, is because you got to cross sell a bunch of things.
So I mean, if places are recommending you don't go out, that's kind of rough if you're a business person. Now, obviously, you need to stay safe, but I think can we talk? I mean, we didn't plan this one out completely, but what are some ways we can support our LGSs while being safe? So like.
Well, you can certainly still buy things from them. There's definitely nothing that's going to stop you there. Like avoiding crowds is one of the things the CDC has pointed out that you should do to prevent further spread of the virus. So if you go in on Wednesdays to pick up new comics, or if you want to pick something up on Friday when there's a new release, there's still no harm in doing that. Certainly,
and most game stores will be plenty amenable to you calling ahead with what you want to pick up, and then you just go in the door, pick it up at the register, and then.
I'm going to generally, because I'm lazy and because to save gas, when new set stuff comes out, I'll call ahead and just pay. I mean, my game store Krypton will let me pay over the phone. I'll give them my credit card info and they'll take my order and then they'll set it aside. And so that's something to think about as these new sets come up, all this new product. If you can, maybe try to set it up ahead of time and wait a little bit. Say, hey, if I am going to try to avoid going out, and who knows what it's going to be like 2 weeks from now. Maybe it won't have spread as fast as they're thinking, or maybe it's going to be like the CDC is going to be recommending businesses close down. We just don't know. Yeah. And so one thing you could do is when pre-releases go live, ask for them, and then if you'd like to trust your game store, trust them to set your stuff aside, and you've got to wait a month and a half because we've got to focus on the health of the nation or the world. Pick up your stuff once this is passed. I mean, there are some options. An interesting thing is Wizards has done a lot of stuff. So like Dave mentioned, basically the smart assumption is any large Magic tournament that is scheduled this month or next month has probably been canceled at this point.
Probably.
Wizards is being cool.
And if it hasn't been canceled, it probably will be.
Yeah, and Wizards is being cool on the big tournaments. I'm looking at it right now. So basically they're going to be...
Could we just give a rundown of what has been canceled?
Well, Detroit was this weekend. By the time this goes up on YouTube, Detroit will have already technically happened, but it hasn't happened because they've canceled Detroit. Sao Paulo is supposed to be after that. There is, I want to say Brisbane was after that, and then Palm Beach.
Are these the Channel Fireball ones?
Yeah, these are the
Channel Fireballs. Yeah.
Channel Fireball they're the ones that run all of the Grand Prix period.
Okay,
or Magic Fest is the preferred nomenclature.
Wizards is letting them decide basically, and it seems like they're closing them all down, canceling. So Wizards canceled the Houston Players Tour Finals. We've got they're rescheduling and relocating the upcoming round of the Regional Player Tour events. They're adding some online Players Tours, which is a really nice addition. Canceling the Mythic Invitational that was scheduled in May. And then they're also, this is very cool of them, providing travel reimbursement to qualified players who can't refund or transfer their flights. Which, Wizards, classy move.
I think it was going to be very bad optics if they didn't do something along those lines. Yeah. They've already had more than enough of that after the whole pay the pros thing and various other not great.
Yeah. So I think Dave just rattled it off. So they Channel Fireball Events has announced a cancellation of all Magic Fest through mid-April. One of the things that I thought was there's just a ton of cancellation. So if you're planning on attending a Magic event, you probably know this, but really, pay attention because it's probably canceled if it's big. We are getting some cool stuff. The Wizards is being kind of cool on a lot of this. They have it, which is good. They're making it safer for all of us. I'm trying to find the article quickly. No, I'm having a hard time.
I was going to say Star City Games canceled a bunch of things too.
I can't find it right now, so I'm going to do my best to remember it off the top of my head. So generally with the pre-release, you can't... Ikoria is coming up next month. I believe at the end of next month, we're going to get the Ikoria pre-release.
provided that isn't
Yeah, provided
canceled across the board or postponed for various reasons. I've never and the problem with this is we've never seen anything that had this response to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is new. I can't remember multiple Grand Prix being canceled for any reason. For those of you that are old enough, this feels an awful lot like how 9/11 went. Right after 9/11, everything just kind of stopped for a while. This is obviously a good deal different because you can't say, you should go out and you should go to that crowded bar tonight or COVID-19 wins. That doesn't work.
yeah.
I think a real difference in all aspects of life between now and much before, even like 20 years ago and stuff, is now like we have the internet. Like we just do. You can work off the internet. You can play Magic on the internet. You can
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. You could do a lot of these things already back then, but not nearly on the level that you can now.
not to the level. Yeah.
The fact that every one of us has a tiny computer that fits in the palm of your hand that is stronger than the one that I used in college.
Yep.
Yeah.
That should tell you something.
Yeah, no, I mean, and so and that's good and bad because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of people who are really scared, and like reasonable concern is good, but anxiety is probably not where you want to be. Like if you're just, I mean, you need to be able to function still. So again, that's tricky. And again, this is a Magic the Gathering podcast. Do try to remain calm because better decisions get made with your calm. Sensible, reasonable stuff.
And if you want to find out what Magic events are being canceled, of course, a lot of people get news on Twitter. That's usually how I get it. Is I follow Wizards on Twitter.
All over Reddit. You get Wizards' page has a bunch of listed stuff. If you're doing a Channel Fireball event, all their stuff's going to be on their page. I did find the pre-release. So it's actually April 17th to 20th. But they're doing an interesting thing, which is really cool of them. Generally, you can't just go in and buy pre-release stuff. You have to sign up for an event. Now, you could always sign up, get your box, and then, drop right away. But you've still got to go at the time and get your stuff. So they are authorizing stores to just sell the stuff. The commander decks, the pre-release kits, they can just sell those to you. And they've also, so there's going to be arena stuff like there always is. And they also mentioned something called a at-home pre-release event, which that might be arena, but, I wouldn't be surprised if
They haven't. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
They haven't flat out said what it is yet.
No, we don't know
they've
for
just
sure.
referenced it very cryptically, and then
Basically,
Okay.
right here we have may also enroll players in at-home pre-release events, which I'm curious if that's going to be let's say you get 2 and you go home, maybe you can reach out to your store or something and be like, hey, here I played my girlfriend and I won. Here are the results, and maybe because Planeswalker points aren't really a thing anymore, but. I don't know.
They exist, but I don't think they really matter. It could be along the lines of how the old arena leagues used to work out, where you didn't really actually have a tournament structure. You just showed up and you played against people, and you got 3 points for winning and 1 point for losing.
Yeah.
And at the end of X amount of weeks, you tallied up all the points, and whoever had the most got lands.
Huh.
So.
Yeah. I mean, so I wouldn't. I'm curious to see what that ends up being. I'm certainly more curious to know what things are going to be like in late April. But it's very cool that Wizards is already saying, it's a smart business decision, but if we're at the point where we're basically being told don't go out of your house or don't go to events, if the game store is open and you can go buy that stuff, great. And if it's closed, hopefully your game store will give you an option to be, I'm sure they want to take your money. They want to stay open, so...
It's likely going to be not great for a lot of retailers coming up very, very soon, and especially retailers like comic shops.
Yeah,
they're probably going to feel the impact fairly hard, especially since they've already been fighting with online entities for as long as they have.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Even your big box stores like Walmart, Target, all their stocks are down. I think last I saw, Walmart was down 9%. So if Walmart's down 9%, what is this doing to your small game store?
Yeah. So I'm sure. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sure that they're going to be feeling a very large impact from this as well, but not nearly on the scale of Walmart. But we've said it, time and again. We definitely said this a decent amount before Christmas. But if you have the option, buy local. Go to your local gaming store. Don't buy stuff from big boxes.
And likely your local game store, particularly if they are operating in thin margins, will work with you to find a healthy, safe choice that will still allow you to support them, ideally.
And to be honest, a lot of local game stores also sell on eBay and things like that. They have a lot of their merch on eBay.
Yeah.
And you can always search out their yonder eBay stores and buy from them there.
No, and one just has to. I mean, that's if you're a store owner, you probably should do your best to take some steps to figure out a way to get product into people's hands. I don't know if we have any store owners watching, but if they are, best of luck. I mean, I'm going to do my best to support Krypton, regardless of how crazy this gets, and it might mean I reach out to Eric or Rick over the phone or even on Facebook and say, hey, if you set product aside for me, I will buy it when I can. If you set this aside for me, I will come in and pay you as soon as it's reasonable. Or if I can buy it over the phone, I'll pay it for it now, and I'll pick it up in a month when I can leave my house.
I mean, because we can likely speculate on a lot of this stuff,
Yeah.
and we know that I guarantee that Channel Fireball is eating a lot of these costs because of this, completely outside of their control. But thankfully for them, I guess they're a much bigger entity, and this
They
isn't
can
going
take
to
it.
bankrupt them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad for them. That is an awful lot of money that Channel Fireball will not be getting.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I'd love to see the business numbers and see like, oh, can you get your money back on this space? You reserved this. What's going on with that? Because I can't imagine that's going to be super easy.
I agree.
And honestly, it makes me worry about not Magic the Gathering so much specifically because there is a lot of online play, but it does make me worry about that. But also Hasbro is just a big company, and a lot of games and card games are inherently social activities that people are going to avoid.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, as far as Magic goes, those are ones that you're going to travel somewhere to play a lot of the time. If it's just your local game store, if it's going to be, honestly, one of the reasons why I was following this in the first place is like, well, everyone says that travel's super cheap. I wonder what Grand Prix are coming up. And I'm like, Palm Beach. Palm Beach is coming up in April. That sounds awesome. Okay, plane tickets are, close to about $200 round trip. That's not
great,
that
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Oh, literally an hour later, it was canceled.
Yeah.
Obviously I didn't book the flight because I'm like, yeah, I'll think about it.
Well, because that meme going around that millennials are like, you mean I can book like really cheap travel and I might die? Okay.
don't threaten me with a good time. Right now, I know that from Omaha to Denver round trip, the tickets are less than 100. It's about 87 last
Holy
I checked.
moly.
And that would
Oh,
be
yeah.
that would be if you went 2 weeks from now.
So my girlfriend works for a large travel company, and they are not doing great. We're talking like layoffs and pay cuts and stuff like that. And
Is it just like standard travel type stuff like, hey, do you want to go to Disneyland, Disney World, or is it like cruises?
well, both. Big travel company, and like they're losing their ass, and the smaller travel companies are probably going to go bankrupt.
Good chance. I mean, it feels like this is likely an opportunity to really help out the local scene for a lot of different, not just as far as like comic and gaming stores go, but local stores in general. Because I think that even though they have the most to lose, I think you're in a much better position to try and help those folks out, and because you'd figure it's not going to take a whole lot for those guys to be able to stay afloat, whereas you have a company like Walmart, Sam's Club, where they have all this overhead, they have all these employees, and I guarantee they're the ones that are going to be hurting the worst because of this, because they have the most to lose. And I honestly, this is a whole aside thing.
Yeah.
But, I would love to see an instance where local businesses start having a real resurgence, and it doesn't get to a point where your options are this big box or that big box.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon.
And Bezos, as I've said multiple times, has enough money.
Yeah. No, he won capitalism.
Yeah,
he did it.
Won capitalism.
He won. He won it. He won capitalism forever.
Make him a trophy. We'll call this game off, and then we'll move on with our lives to something that's sustainable.
So of course there are things that the government and financial entities can do. For instance, financial institutes can release money that's on reserve and things like that for people. They can offer more liquidation in loans and liquidity in that region. They can lower interest rates,
Which they have been.
The government can, and they have been. So that gives a good segue to what can wizards do.
So yeah, I think we're getting close to pivoting to the next one. Do we have any final thoughts on just the big general stuff before we go into kind of what wizards can do in Arena?
I have a couple.
Okay.
The first thing is just make sure you're following decent hygiene. Like regardless if you're out playing or not, wash your hands. If you're gonna cough, do it into your elbow or whatever. Don't not cover your mouth when you sneeze.
Into a tissue or into your elbow, not into your hands if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
If at all possible, just use good judgment. If you feel sick, stay home if you can. And if you can't, well, that's a much bigger problem. But
and you actually, Dave said this before the show started. Even if you're not super worried about yourself, which hey, I don't think anyone on the show is in one of the really dangerous brackets, but the people around you might be, and so we just want to. This is a great opportunity for us all to do our best to look out for each other, be good to each other, think about how your actions can affect other people, and we will get through this, and we can get through it together.
And if you're stuck quarantined wherever you are, I would recommend Sound of Thunder. For whatever reason, that short story comes to mind. So
I haven't read that.
it's Ray Bradbury.
Okay.
We'll cover that in post.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that in the post. I've definitely heard the story's name. Yeah, we can talk. Let's talk about good epidemic fiction to read.
We'll get into it. Not exactly epidemic, but it definitely at least thinking about things being contagious, it comes to mind.
All the Resident Evil movies.
Post. We'll talk. Hit it in post. So okay, we are going to talk about moving on to our next topic, which is generally in theme with our last one, is what can Wizards do about this, and particularly in Arena. And this isn't just a coronavirus topic. So in case you're sick of us talking about that, we are going to talk about other angles. So clearly, I think the biggest thing Wizards can do is lean into their digital platforms.
Yep.
If Wizards wants to keep money flowing to them, they got digital platforms and they got Arena, which is doing real good.
I think this is a good excuse to do it. I think these are things that they probably want to do anyway.
Well, there was somewhat of an option that you could do this with Magic Online beforehand, and to let the viewers in on what we're talking about as far as this goes, something that we had discussed before we even started recording was the idea that Wizards could potentially give local businesses or certain individuals the option to get a business account and be able to run their own tournaments off of the platform.
Because there have been some of that, but some websites have tried it, and so basically how it's had to do it now is you sign up on this website, and then you've got and this was pre friends list or anything, so then you've got to direct challenge a stranger, and it's just all this stuff, and so they've definitely given us better tools. We're gonna, I think maybe in the update that's out today or really soon, you can now message your friends. We have a friends list. You can mark yourself as busy and stuff. So there's some good tools coming in, but it would not. And we certainly talk about on the show, or I complain about it a lot, is Wizards is taking a lot away from local game stores potentially, and they are the backbone of this community. And so if everything's digital, it kind of makes them suffer. But I think it would go a long way. I hadn't even thought of that till it got pitched pre-show about, this kind of business account. So online, there's been leagues in the past, and there's available leagues. What kind of things are available that Wizards could do, and what kind of things could they actually offer a company? Because I hadn't even thought about that.
Well, what they could really offer is the things that people make themselves. So you're right. Third-party sites and people who want to run these things would normally host their own stuff. They put together the list, they put together the brackets, and then you'd have to direct challenge people based on what they posted. What Wizards could really do is introduce a bracketing system and a good lobby chat system that businesses could incorporate. So a business could figure out the bracket and then post that bracket, and then you could have a lobby chat or something like that in the meantime while you're waiting to be slotted up for your game.
And something that just kind of crossed my mind, and it's based on the Disney Bucks thing, is if you can make somebody buy your own current, that's the whole point of a digital game. You have to buy Disney Bucks, and then you use your multiple kinds of Disney Bucks to buy more stuff. But it'd be nice if, say a tournament. So a tournament advisor says, hey, we're going to host a tournament. We're going to have prizes where we're going to put a certain amount of prizes. So they could pay Wizards a discounted amount and say, hey, we're going to do this.
Yep.
They pay Wizards $100, but then they get 60% of entry fees or something.
Yep.
And then the payouts are all in gems or gold. Then that's just putting more money into Arena's ecosystem. That's good for Wizards. So I don't know the best way to do that, if it's just to say, hey, if you're a WPN store, we'll let you run this. Or if you say, hey, pay for a monthly account or pay to run an event. But as something to get them some more money, or any number of things.
So I think Wizards just, there's a certain fee to enter the tournament bracket structure that they've set up. The game store that's hosting it gets a large percentage of it, and then Wizards gets a cut for running it on their platform, and everyone's happy.
I could see something along those lines. One of the problems that you run into if you start using gold or gems as the payout is that there's less incentive than for somebody, for like pro or like grinders to play, because you figure that if someone's playing in a tournament where you expect high level players to be in, then they're likely going to have most of what they need anyway on their account. They're going to have almost a full collection, and yeah, there's no incentive. Like, they want more gems they're never going to use.
So since this is game stores that are going to be organizing these tournaments, what game stores can do is the winner, we will ship you actual product.
That's a possibility. A lot of stores have started shifting over to the model of, instead of saying, well, you get X packs for first and X packs for second, well, Y packs for second. Instead, it's you get this amount of trade credit for first, this amount of trade credit for second. So it's a little bit more liquid.
Right.
You want packs? Cool. We can do an equivalent of packs for that trade credit. Do you want singles? Okay, that works out better for me anyway. And in any instance, if they can potentially even pay out more than 100% the money going in for the tournaments in trade credit, because you figure they still have their markup. And
Yeah.
kind of like look at it like tournament entries at that point are someone's giving you an interest-free loan. Like,
And it's one of those, I feel like Channeled Fireball or TCG player who has a good online store. Like, if I got Channeled Fireball or Star City Games credit, I can use that credit. Now, if I get credit at some store that doesn't have a good online store in Oregon, but there could be options. You want this, or do you want gems or tournament invites? Like, so you can already grind your way into the championships via Arena, but getting some paper tournament stuff, plane tickets. Like, I think there'd be some interesting things, or even just like if a smaller store wants to run a brawl tournament and they get like a weekly thing going. I think it also gives people the opportunity to say, hey, if you give us a usable tournament structure, we will make content that we then put on Twitch or something. So maybe there's a monthly brawl tournament that some game store does, and they do some kind of deal so everybody gets paid, and then they offer up, say, hey, Wizards, we'll have somebody cast it. So we'll bring commentators in and we'll do this. Like, I think there's a lot of untapped potential.
I think so too.
The big problem that I was seeing with specifically Arena and doing the direct challenges and all that is keeping honest people honest. Getting the match results and all that, making sure there aren't any discrepancies between players when they play. So one solution to that would be what you do normally when you're like racing a game or doing some sort of speed run, and that's you're obligated to stream so anyone can check in on you to make sure that there's no funny business going on. And the problem you run into with that is, what happens if somebody starts stream sniping you? Your opponent starts watching. Yeah, no one really wants to see someone lose because some other person blatantly cheated and you can't prove it.
They could build into the tournament structure though that all the games are spectated.
I mean, that's I didn't even thought about that concern, but you might be able to fix that with just like a delay.
That's a possibility. That certainly will help out with a lot of it. That's the big thing is, and that's why when I was thinking about this, WotC would need to implement some sort of new feature within Arena in order to make this happen. Because if you can just set it up so my business account lets me go, all right, I want to have this event that's this format, and I want to cap it at 64 players.
Yeah.
That should be fine. It should automatically do the brackets. It'll automatically do the pairing. It's going to be along the lines of how Weir functions, but specifically for Arena.
Yeah, and Weir is Wizards Event Reporter, and that's how stores do that for people who aren't familiar.
And so that just alleviates a lot of the problems. When the match is done, then it pops up on on the event thing, like so and so played so and so. This was the match outcome
in the lobby or whatever. Yeah.
And there's no confusion as to what happened. There would be no he said she said type thing. And it works out much, much better. Whereas if you were to try that now, a lot of people are just going to be on the honor system. Now, I'm not going to say that anyone would try and do anything, suspect, but
people would. Somebody would.
As prizes, the value of prizes increase, the more flexible people's ethics can get.
I think that's a polite way to put it.
Yeah. But as much, I'm rather reminded to wax politics for just a second. A lot of the complaints is that, and this happens in businesses too, whenever there's disasters or anything like that, a bunch of like roof repair businesses show up all of a sudden that are kind of like shiesty and not great. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it could also be to the benefit of Brawl. I think these are a lot of good quality of life features in general for the future of making this platform great, and now is a great time to do it.
We can absolutely like I'm sure that there are a decent amount. Oh shoot, that's right.
This is a good excuse.
I was trying to think of what the Magic scene even looked like in Italy, and I'm like, are there Italian Magic? Fucking Mangucci, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
There are.
And it's yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I lost my train.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, this is kind of there'd definitely be, you'd have to figure out a system to stop cheating, but how appealing would it be to be like, here's a tournament, here are the brackets, click on the game you want to watch.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
That'd be all right. I mean, I guess kind of the problem there is if you're making it more of a spectator thing, one of the things you're going to want is going to be advertisers. You're going to want to get some ad revenue in there while you're at it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why they can't do that.
Yeah, they need to figure out some way to implement that. It's much easier to do with YouTube or with Twitch, and there may be some suspect things that end up getting installed via Arena if they need to have the advertisements in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't hurt.
I mean, that's a Burger King Twitch sponsored tournament. You delay each round by an hour so you don't watch it live, but you watch it a round late. But then you go, here's the whole tournament, and then you have your casters on focus on some stuff. But if you go, hey, so-and-so's my favorite guy, I'm going to watch their match, and I'm going to watch their next match. Like, I think there's some cool stuff out there.
Yeah, I think there's cool stuff. And I think... So I think if you're in the tournament, they should make it that you can spectate matches, other matches in the tournament. And I think if you are like, for instance, you could watch highlights later on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that I'm sure that you can still do the feature match type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I guess every one of them could potentially be a feature match.
Yeah.
No, that's an exciting option with. I mean, like maybe this is getting. I mean, they were kind of expanding out here, but like. If you want to offer like, hey, we'll give anybody who commentates, you could, there's a lot of like personalities out there who aren't super huge, but if you go, okay, we have a 64 bracket tournament, everyone's playing from home, we're going to have commentators on every game.
That'd be cool.
And so you don't have as good as somebody. So let's say there's that Brett guy. He does some stuff because there's also that you're a content creator. You can sign up for Wizards Content Creator Network. So like let's say I decide to do that. I get on their network and they go, hey, we'll give you 5,000 gems if you commentate in the first round. In the next rounds, we'll drop you off because we got people who are better than you, and you're a weirdo. But we'll give you 5,000 gems if you talk over this match because we know that you are willing to do that. So being able to sit down at a tournament, go, I'm going to watch this game, and now you've got me explaining what's going on. Like we have the technology. We could do that. They've got to implement all that.
We can rebuild him.
But like, that seems cool.
Right on the same page. I was gonna call him Steve Austin, but was Steve Austin the $6 Million Man? Or was that the $6 Million Man's boss? I can't remember. And
isn't that a
40-year-old
wrestler?
virgin. Yeah, they can make it. The name can be used
Stone
by
Cold.
multiple people.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm young.
But what I want to just say too is that like I know Wizards and various big companies are taking a lot of hits financially. I'm also saying Wizards, this is an opportunity to make an aspect of your game even better and cut local game stores in while you do it.
Well, you get another, I guess, not exactly unintended consequence of it or benefit. Would be better than consequence. But another thing that would end up happening from that is if someone has an odd work schedule or an odd sleep schedule and they're normally on third shift, then that gives them more of an opportunity where they can play. If if you're holding an event at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's normally the time someone like me is wide awake and very alert, I can just play with folks that are in Europe.
Yeah, jump into a European tournament, or you could have a tournament start at 5 p.m. like Central Time or something. And
I would love to play in an Australian tournament or something like that. That'd be baller.
I think pairing with local game stores. Obviously, Wizards it would be a sign of good faith, and I'm sure there's a way we could find for everyone to make more money. And maybe if it's even just
capitalism.
Even you just need to, if you need to get say like a certain level of WPN, and then you just for free get to host events on Wizards dimes, and you could say pay Wizards $100, but then you get all your entry fees and you get an amount of gems. Let's say you get double instead of like if it's however many gems $100 get you get 5 times that amount of gems, and then they say like, okay, you paid us for the tournament, here are your gems, you're injecting money into our game, and then you get all of the prize entry fee. And they can sign up for a credit card on whatever means or PayPal you. There's a million things they'd have to tweak and fix, but and they aren't going to be able to implement in the next coming month or two where this is going to be hitting us. But we could set up a system and then
Why not?
They
Hire
can
some
move it to beta.
programmers.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Yeah, it's not something that's it's definitely going to be something that's somewhat complicated, but it's not complicated so much that they can't implement a beta within like 2 weeks from now.
Freaking the BattleNet had lobby system and direct challenges and stuff. You can do this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like back in dial-up, we had these.
Look ye to StarCraft and how they do their tournaments.
It takes Wizards about 20 years to do something digitally that they should be able to do. So maybe 20 years from now we'll have this stuff.
Here's a more specific example of where someone did something along these lines and used Magic Online. So I believe it was Gavin Vahey. Before Modern was a thing, there was a format that existed as far as the fans were concerned called Overextended. And what Overextended was, it was Marcadian Masks Onward. The idea was they wanted to have something to replace Legacy.
Sure.
That they were in control of reprints. And that was the cutoff point that they went with, and obviously we inevitably got Modern.
That's post-reserve list.
Yeah, because Masks block would be the first block where there was no reserve list. So you can reprint your Lin Civies if you want, and your Rashad and Ports and all these cards that I don't think
Rashad and Port's not on the
Civies get played, but Rashad and Port definitely.
Rashad and Port's not on the reserve list?
It's not. It's from Masks block. Yeah. So
Oh.
the point being, so he took it on himself. I don't remember who he was writing for at the time.
Shit.
It was
This was
either
pre him
Channel
getting hired
Fireball.
at Wizards then?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the reasons why they went, hey, we really like the initiative you did with Overextended.
That's an up and comer.
He got a decent amount of folks that were interested in it, and they got to hold some tournaments on Modo. It wasn't exactly the smoothest, I don't think, but based on the writing at the time, it looked like everything worked out and everything was fine with it.
Sure.
So it was something that they did without really having to put a lot of WotC, that is, not putting a lot of effort into it. Just that they had like lobbies where you could play casual games against people.
Yeah.
So being able to set that up ahead of time and say, all right, so and so you're playing so and so, and just breaking it down from there,
And
posting pairings on a different site,
And bracketing it out,
And then that's a good point. Make your own formats. If you say, okay, we're doing a historic brawl, which Wizards is throwing some stuff out, but if some store wants to run historic brawl, giving them the tools in Arena to do that, it would go a long way. I think Wizards there's a number of various ways this is going to be good for people, but a way to say game stores, we want to make sure you stay open because you sell our product to our fans. You are the base of you are the core of our community. We want to help you. I think it would go a long way.
And can you imagine stores running unset tournaments and stuff like that?
Like there's a lot of cool
There's
stuff.
a lot of cool stuff you could do.
Yeah, I mean,
is what I'm saying.
I'm super up for a digital unset.
Me too.
That's a whole different topic because there's a lot of Hearthstone does a lot of. Hearthstone has some good things and some bad things about it, but Hearthstone really takes advantage of what a digital-only client can do, and so unconnected. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with like an internet computer.
Unconnected is nice.
Well, I don't know if that's the right message.
Yeah.
But unset on Arena, an Arena-specific unset. Let's put that down as a future topic because that seems fun. Any final thoughts on what Wizards can on this topic, which kind of branched out just from what Wizards can do to the future possibilities of Arena? Any final thoughts?
No, Wizards do it. Watch our podcast. Listen to our ideas. They're good.
And then hire us all.
Yeah, like I can program a little bit.
Final thoughts, Dave, other than just that face? For our viewers
I believe my face speaks for itself.
And for our viewers who are only listening, Dave was making this face. See what I did there?
Could you say that? Could you make that face a little bit louder?
Yeah, let me
because I didn't quite. I don't.
So yeah, I made that face as loud as I could, so hopefully our people who are just listening got that loud and clear. So we're going to throw it to the ads real quick. Quick words from our sponsor, and then we're going to be back with why Mana Screw is good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the ads. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Inked Gaming, Nuclear Ink Tattoos, and Cards Custom Build. Are you looking to get a custom playmat? Well, then we suggest you check out inkedgaming.com. They have custom playmats, dice bags, mouse pads, and much, much more. You guys gotten anything from Inked Gaming?
Not yet, but I keep meaning to. I've got 2 Magic playmats as my current gaming setup, and so but one of my Innistrad Championship mat has which I didn't win, I just got as a prize,
Oh.
is super chewed up.
If
So
you
I'm getting
guys-
close to needing something new.
If you guys want, I have designed some chalkboard TCGU sponsored player mats. I could shoot you over the pictures, and you can just go get them on there.
I might do that for like my actual like going to tournaments
Yeah.
and playing mat. That sounds
Hell yeah.
cool.
They even let you add a stitched option to the playmat and mouse pads as well. Ink Gaming lets you play your game with your style. Like I said, you can do the custom images. You can either go out and find an artist to get you something, or you can design it and send it in, and they work with you, your style, your game. If you want 10% off your order, use the code TCG University, all caps, no spaces at checkout. Help support us by customizing your game to your style. Big shout outs to Inked Games.
Yes, and like I said, my playmat's getting chewed up. It's because it doesn't have the stitched thing. I have a couple stitched edge playmats, and they are awesome.
Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop. This episode is also sponsored by Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop. At Nuclear Ink, you can find a very inclusive environment with artists that share your interest in nerd culture and fandoms alike. You guys have any tattoos?
No, but if I get one, Jesse down at Nuclear Ink is going to be doing it.
For sure.
I mean, if I get one, he's doing it.
What
Yeah.
about you?
Oh, just the one.
Which is?
Just got just a little kanji here.
Oh, that's really rad.
Kenshin's dope.
What
Yeah.
is the kanji for?
It's the symbol for evil and misfortune.
Okay.
Well, I want a Legend of Zelda tattoo. Nuclear Ink prides themselves on being Omaha's premier all-custom tattoo shop. So if you're looking to get a custom tattoo, please check out Nuclear Ink here in Omaha, Nebraska. Link will be in the description. Jesse seems like a really chill guy, and if you're looking to get anything custom, you should definitely chit-chat with him. He'd love to conversate with you so that you are 100% happy with anything that you decide to put on your body for the rest of your
Super
life.
good people. Really can't recommend them enough.
And then the last sponsor for today is Cards Custom Build. Are you into cosplay, you nerd? Of course you are. You looking to get into cosplay? Of course you are. Do you want to show up to the events dressed as your favorite character? Well, then Cards Custom Build is here to help. Cards Custom Build creates everything from cosplay accessories like props, trinkets, and weaponry, all the way up to full-blown costumes. I asked you guys last time, what do you guys want to be? You said the Mandalorian last time.
Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, my father, Clay Cardwell from Cards Custom Build, he has everything set out. He's got it all designed at like an incredibly talk of the town. I even have that in here. Talk of the town price. It's so good to take in, and just like making costumes takes a long time.
Yeah, it's really time consuming, and it takes a lot of different kind of skill sets and equipment. So like, if you're into building your own, awesome. But if you're like me and lazy, this is the way to make it happen.
I just went to Level Up Expo out in Vegas over this past weekend for a card tournament, and it was really fun just people watching all these people in their really awesome costumes. It's fun to see people transform and become somebody that they're not. It's fun seeing somebody out of costume that you think would be very timid and not hold themselves, and as soon as you put on that Superman suit, they stand up and they put their chest out. Like it's super rad, and the costume is half of that equation. So go over to Cards Custom Build either on Facebook or on their Etsy account. Links will be in the description down below. Make sure that you mention TCG University sent you their way, and you'll get 5% off your entire order. And whenever you're talking about really high level costumes, 5% is actually a ton. That could be upwards of like $50. Like honestly, if you're pushing for all the accoutrements.
If you're going for a big one, oh yeah, or save a couple bucks on something smaller. Like yeah really.
For sure.
No reason not to. If you're thinking about doing it, support local if you're here in Nebraska, and if not,
He'll ship across
Yeah,
the whole
Yep,
U.S.
support him anyway.
support them anyway, even if you're in a different state.
Back to our show.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final topic. So, when I was recording Brawling with Brett yesterday, I'm sorry this is relevant. I feel like I'm just like plugging that show constantly.
That's
What was the
fine.
name of the show again?
It's a show Brawling with Brett. It's
Brawl.
me, but I play Brawl.
Is that a you play Brawl? Is it best of one?
Best of yes, I play some Brawl.
So a funny part about that is I do some raiding in Final Fantasy with your significant other,
Yes.
and I can hear you're brawling with Brett while I raid in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's because we're all the computers are crammed into the basement. So anyway, while playing Brawling with Brett, when I was wrapping up the last video I was talking about Mana Screw, and then I'm like, I kind of offhandedly was like, but Mana Screw's probably a good thing for the game. And then I realized, oh, that's kind of a bomb to drop, and that's it for the week. Bye, everybody. So I told everybody we'd talk about it on the show.
Oh, okay. So
Well, in the
that's
future.
why
I
it's
didn't think we were going to do it right away, but we're going to do it right away because we needed a third topic that wasn't coronavirus is killing everyone, which it isn't. It's not killing everyone. I shouldn't make
only
hot
a
jokes.
5% mortality rate last I checked, so you're fine.
Also, kind of fits within the narrative of everyone being screwed. So anyway, Mana
Yes.
Screw.
So Mana Screw. So this is not this is not an idea that I came up with. So Mark Rosewater has done several articles and podcasts about the things that make Magic work, and I'm not going to get into all of those right now. But one of the things he credits to the success of Magic is the mana system. And if you're watching this far into the show and you don't know how the mana system works, oh boy. But real quick, you can pay a land a turn. Generally, there are cards that let you do more than that, but one land a turn. And you need to use your land to produce mana, and you need mana to cast your spells. And really, if you're this far into Magic the Gathering podcast and you don't know that, we're so glad you're here.
Though I would,
But that's... Oh, go ahead.
One of our main producers, Tam, I do like his real estate, and I just want to call the mana system the real estate market.
It works so perfectly because, as with actual economics, it's always a good idea to invest in real estate.
Yes.
And if there's any listeners, watchers that are sitting on multiple legacy dual lands, they'll tell me that I'm right. So
Yeah,
it's-
yep. And they always do that's the buy lands, and then you can play whatever deck you want, generally, because lands are often the most expensive part of a deck. But, so specifically about how the mana system works, you have to put land into your deck, and that seems obvious to Magic players, but there are many card games that do have very different systems. Yep. So, Hearthstone's is a very popular game, and so for those of you who don't know Hearthstone, there's still a mana system. You basically get a mana crystal every turn that builds up. So the first turn you get 1, and then it unlocks 2, then you get 2 mana, turn 3 you get 3, and so on, maxing out at 10. The World of Warcraft trading card game that Hearthstone was based off of did have quest cards that could be played, and they would produce basically the mana equivalent to cast other spells. But you could also play any other card face down as a land. Is that how universes work, James? I know you have. So do you know, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as universes goes, you have things called foundations.
Yeah.
And it's not just foundations. So you also have a control check. So you play something, it has a difficulty, you reveal the top card of your deck, and then there's a control check in the lower right-hand corner. If it is greater than or equal to what the difficulty is, you successfully play the card.
Yeah.
If it's less than, then you can commit, which is tapping, foundations to make up the difference.
Now, can you get foundation screwed? Or can you play any card face down as a foundation?
So you can get foundation screwed, but the decks are mostly usually like 2/3 to like.
So you run a lot, and you can
Now,
just discard cards at the end of your turn and draw up to your max hand size. Would discard 1, but you always draw back up to your maximum hand size. So odds are you're going to get foundations. Yeah.
Yeah. The other part is for foundations. All of them, in addition to having the ability to be able to make up the difference in a failed control check, they also do things.
Yeah.
So
they're all talking lands.
Yeah, they're basically for Magic players who aren't familiar with universes, they're foundations. So like we're saying, hopefully you could hear James okay there. But yeah, maybe not. But if not, so yeah, Dave is saying you can use your excess foundation mana, whatever you want to call it, to make sure you're getting your control checks. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Yes, but all the foundations do a thing. So it's like if every land in your deck
Had
also
text on it.
had an activated ability.
Yeah.
So which some decks have play cards like that, but it's like everything is. So there's a lot going on in universe, but that's not what we're talking about here specifically. But that's another system. Yu-Gi-Oh! That's where you get to play certain cards of certain star value, and then you've got to sacrifice stuff to get the higher stuff. Right?
You're allowed one normal summon per turn, and I think they've limited the amount of special summons you can do as well.
Okay.
So you're limited by a finite number of summons that you can do, and certain things need to have certain things to occur before you're able to, like at least as like star value. Like if you have something like Summon Skull, you have to be able to tribute something to it in order to put it into play. As far as like traps and spells go, you can just go hog wild on that and just play whatever. So and there's dozens and dozens of other games who do different systems, but it's not an uncommon thing to see systems that have a smooth system to ensure your mana. I think Hearthstone is the best example of it, or the old Warcraft one, which it came from.
And while it seems really appealing, I think a lot of times when people are going
It's
into
really
a new
feel
game,
good.
it feels great. You
Yeah.
can always play your spells, and it sucks to get mana screwed in Magic, which mana screw is not drawing your lands or other mana producers and being unable to cast your spells. Or the reverse of this, which is also why it's the subheading of this, I guess, is why flooding is good for the game. Is if you just draw mana sources and nothing to do with them, you'll probably lose. And so, if you're watching the show, you probably play Magic, and you've probably lost plenty of games to flood or screw.
Yep.
But I would argue it's overall very good for the game because it is it's an equalizing factor.
Yep.
It is a way that Magic, there's certainly other randomization elements in Magic. You only draw 7 cards, you only draw a card a turn. But it's like, oh, you won that game, but it wasn't a skill thing. I just got mana screwed, which happens. But if you want a straight skill game, go play chess. The fact that a new player could beat the best player in the world at Magic is, I would argue, and one of the things that Morrow argues, is one of the reasons that Magic is 27 years old. So it's kind of unintuitive with this idea that that random element is good for the game, I think is why it's successful. Now, I've been talking a lot. Thoughts, other people.
Well, look at it like this: there needs to be like an actual cost, especially in deck construction. So if there wasn't the idea of being mana screwed or color screwed for that matter, why wouldn't you just play the best cards regardless, and then whatever the stopgap is that allows you to not get mana screwed? Like at that point, then yeah, resourcing is just it's just far too easy. You know, you say that I don't know what potential solutions. I've heard beforehand people saying, well, you know, we could do what they did with the WoW game and just, you know, play a card from my hand face down that can tap for, you know, any color or color of our specific choosing.
Yeah, so if you're already in the game, you could say, play a card from your hand face down as like a waste.
Well,
Let's say. So a land that taps colorless.
Yeah, but then that doesn't quite stop, you know, being color screwed.
True.
And you know that is a legitimate concern in certain instances. I mean, even if you're playing a monocolored deck, there are plenty of times that I've, you know, gone, oh, well, this doesn't actually tap for a color, and I need to be able to play my triple black spell.
Yeah.
I think that it's something that's not necessarily good, but it's necessary. We need it for the game to function.
Well, and also I think it allows for other meta elements to be introduced into the game, because in your actual deck construction, you'll think about ways to mitigate either being mana screwed or mana flooded by adding different artifacts, different fetches, adjusting your land total, adjusting how many non-standard lands you're putting in things. And that allows also wizards to print things that help you with being screwed or help you with flooding. So things that help you mill, things that help you actually ramp, search out,
Color fix.
fix. It allows for a whole different both thought process in deck construction and in card printing and card creating.
And you get to do cool things for like card power wise. Something that is triple red gets to be stronger than something that is red and 2 colorless. And something that the mana system allows you to say it's outside of Brawl and Command or things like that. You can put whatever you want in your deck, but you've got to have the mana to back it up. So we've had one of the reasons that they don't do that many 3-color sets
and
is
reliably.
Reliably cast your cards. Yeah, in the three set blocks, they have to print fixing to let you play 3-color cards. But that oftentimes will end up in a standard where we're playing wet Jeskai or no, wet. What is it like? Damp Mardu, where we were playing. There was a lot of dumb.
I hate most of those words. But I get what you're saying. You're playing 4-color bullshit, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I love how open deck construction is in Magic. So Hearthstone, one of the ways they control, like Dave said, like what's to stop you from just putting the best stuff in. So yeah, you've still got to run stuff up your curve because you can't. If you run all 10 drops, you'll die before turn 10. But Hearthstone says pick a class, and the strongest cards you have to pick from your class. So if you pick Wizard, not Mage, I think it's Mage. Yeah, it's Mage. So Mage class lets you play the neutral cards, which anyone can play the neutral cards, and then you're going to play your Mage cards. And your Mage cards are going to be generally stronger than the neutral cards because they're your specific thing. But then they have to be careful they don't print neutral cards that are too good that invalidate class cards. And that's the thing. If you sit down in Hearthstone, you have to say, I'm a Mage, and that cuts out a huge swath of the available cards. In Magic, you can say, I'm going to be mono red, but I'm going to try to splash green for this weird thing. Because you can put green cards in your deck. Even if you're not running that many green sources, you could say, screw it, I'm going to try it. And I like that deck building freedom, and I think that's an appealing thing, so you don't have to say, when you sit down with a new player, what color deck do you want to build? But you still give them the option of, but you could try this too, or feel free to expand to this. It's not like get your mage cards, and then if you spend all your wild cards and Hearthstone on mage cards, and you want to switch over to druid, you've got to craft a bunch of new cards.
And also, then I get to print cards with dual mana symbols and cards with alternate casting costs.
Hybrid mana, like it allows for them to print a lot of interesting and unique things, and it allows for a kind of self-balancing thing. If you want to just play 5-color good stuff, ideally you're going to have to pay a cost for that.
Yeah, I think that one of the best solutions they've had, as far as like at least on the flood side of things, is printing lands that do things. And Eldraine is a great example.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
We have the white castle and the blue castle and the black castle, and then the other two are kind of lackluster.
Well, they see the red one sees a lot of play, but it's a different kind of. It's a mana sink late game to help your creatures, and the green one is ramp basically.
Whereas the others are card quality, card selection, being able to like actually get cards in the late game when your hand's empty. If you're flooding out, like, all right, well, I mean, this will get me a new card. And then as far as the white one goes, a win condition for some control decks. The red one, like you said, is mana sink late game, and the green one is like stone unplayable. I don't think I've ever lost to that card.
I mean, it's actually it's a really nice card to run a one of. If you're in a creature deck, you just throw one in.
Yeah.
It's super low. Like I play it all the time in Brawl, and it's not. When those green black mid range decks were doing pretty good, it's all play just because if you're playing creatures, it normally comes into play untapped. If you're in a green black deck or like a green red deck, and then sometimes it's just an extra mana. So
that's fair.
it's not
Most of
bad.
the time, it's just going to be a forest, and sometimes there's upside.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a forest, and sometimes you get to play an extra X spell into your fight Hydra. So like it's I like the card.
But as far as when we're looking at things like mana screw, mana flood, all that certainly incentivizes a lot of decks to probably potentially play more lands than they would normally, or at least replace some of their basic lands with this card in the event. This at least does something about flooding out. This is still action late game.
And they also Wizards Unlimited will often print a mechanic that lets you spend excess mana. So Kicker's a great example of it. The adventure cards are a great example of it, and the adventure cards are actually kind of a nice card because they can help with
cycling.
Cycling's another one for sure. Flashback, adventure. I really like this as an example because a lot of times those instants and sorceries are pretty cheap. And so even if I'm getting mana screwed, I can do something with my available mana. If I'm stuck on 2, I can still bounce with my Brazen Borrower. I can still shock with my Giant. And then late game, I'm flooding out. I get to use the second half of my card. And so they definitely give us cards to try to help with that. It's one of those weird things where you want to reduce flood and screw as much as possible. They've clearly changed the mulligan recently where they're trying to give us better chances to not have games end like that. And it's no fun to end a tournament or a big game on a flood or a screw, so they need to be careful on it. But I'm really happy they haven't tried to put in some fixed mechanic, or like sometimes it's like, you could have a land deck and a creature deck. It's like, I'm really glad they haven't done that. I don't like where that goes, and I think that the fact that
I don't think they could do that either without majorly changing the game.
At that point, I agree. That's a completely different game. I'd argue. That's feeling kind of Legend of the Five Rings. Mm-hmm.
It's called Force of Will.
it's called. I mean,
I guess. Yeah.
Oh gosh,
I've heard good things about Force of Will, but I've never played it.
All I know about it.
It's a system the same way. You have a 15-card mana deck.
50. So in case you can't hear, James is saying the game Force was a 15-card mana deck. I don't want to say anything too harsh about Force of Will. Every time I Google it, it's just like, think of the worst like anime titty girl lands or playmats, and it's literally every card in the game.
Well,
it's so cringy looking.
You haven't seen Tanso Query.
I have it on good authority that Captain Hook is a playable thing in that game, and Captain Hook's pretty good.
Is Captain Hook also a scantily clad anime girl?
No.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
He's a pirate.
In Force of Will, is he a scantily clad anime girl?
No.
James, can we check that?
I'm looking it up right now.
I want to know
Fact-checking
because
Captain
everything
Hook.
I know about Force of Will applies to every.
God, bro, he looks sick as fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, can we get that up?
Can we pull it up on screen? We're not gonna pull up any other Force of Will cards in case you're
about to do
Hopefully, this is viewers who are watching that. Well, if you're a viewer, I suppose you're watching this.
God, what is this? A picture for ants? Oh no, that's much better. Yeah, no, that's dope.
Oh,
that's dope as fuck.
That's dope.
He's got a dagger and he's got a hook. A hook hand. A hook where his hand's supposed to be?
He has a cigar.
Oh, a cigar? Hell yeah.
I mean, that seems cool, but every time I see another character from that game, it's cringy and embarrassing.
Some of the skeletons, they look like they might have some big anime titties. No, they don't actually. I'm sorry, guys. That was just me, like... and if you're an artist, if you could draw some skeletons with big anime titties,
No.
big skeleton titties, that'd be great.
Anyway, but clearly it is something that I think everyone who goes, I'm going to make a trading card game, goes, what can we do to make the mana system better? I like what Wizards has done. I think
I agree.
It's a damn fine system. And as much as it sucks to lose to Mana Screw or Mana Flood, it really feels good when you're a new player and you beat the person who's way better than you. Even if you won on Mana Screw, it's like, I've won pre-releases where I shouldn't have, but the mana system backed me up favored me in that instance.
And the thing is, too, like, it feels great when you ramp perfectly.
Oh God, what is that on the? Who is that?
That is definitely not Captain
no.
Hook. That is not Captain Hook.
What
at
character
all.
is that?
I assume that's the crocodile that took his hand.
Well, I can't read.
No,
I'm blind.
definitely not. Those are big anime titties.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now
Anyway.
That was it. It was
What
like-
character is that though?
It's called Oborozuki.
Nobuzuki.
It's some type of vampire.
Okay. Anyway,
shall we wrap this up?
Yeah,
and
we're
move
gonna
to the
wrap this up.
post-show?
Yeah. So
So-
yeah, put us back on screen if we aren't. We're gonna wrap this.
You guys were always on.
Oh, okay. Good.
We were never not
You
on
guys were
screen.
the only ones that
Oh, good. Thank
Oh,
goodness.
so if you're watching at home, please Google Captain Hook Force of Will, and I hope to God there's some.
Or just
Okay.
search Force of Will. The problem, there's a
Like-
magic card called Force of Will that's quite good, but if you
It is
Google,
quite good.
Okay, if somebody altered a Force of Will to put Captain Hook on it, they wanted it more. That's just how that is.
That's-
And
I-
that sounds way cool. Well, it's probably on par with what we just looked at.
anyway, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to make any Force of Will players feel bad, but I would be embarrassed to show those cards to most human beings. Which I guess maybe I am making you feel bad. My goal is not to put you down; it's to lift you up. But oof. Any final thoughts on Mana Screw being
Absolutely.
That
Mana-
game doesn't need any more lift.
Oh boy. Okay. Final thoughts on our actual topic and not Force of Will and their art direction choices.
No, I like the equalizing factor of Mana Screw and Mana Flood. Moreover, what I actually like about Mana Screw and Mana Flood is it makes you think hard about deck design and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mulligans exist for a reason.
Yeah. And
So.
if you're asked, am I mulliganing enough? The answer is probably no. You are not mulliganing enough. Mulligan more.
There's nothing that I loved more in tournaments where my opponent starts freaking out about how they got mana screwed, and if they would have just drawn a few more lands, they would have won. To which my thought was, dude, you kept 7.
Yeah.
Like what did you think was going to happen? I went to 5 and I won.
Yesterday at a
So-
game, I said all right, viewers, if we draw 3 lands in a row, we're gonna have a great hand. You shouldn't say that.
I think there's a whole topic
Yeah.
waiting to be milked there about when you should mulligan.
Yeah.
We
Like,
could
and people don't mulligan enough.
When we do that, let's just get a couple decks out here and just draw some sample hands and like to show people what we've got, and then be like, let's do that. That sounds
like
fun.
I can argue for literal hours on end about mulligans
Yeah.
in general. That's not only is that a topic for another time.
Add it
that
to the
is-
list.
That could potentially be an ongoing series. Or listen to Dave pontificate about hands that can be kept and mulliganed for 2 hours, and we'll see you again next week, and we're still talking about the same deck.
Got it on the list
Like-
here, so okay. I think we're good to wrap it up then. So we're gonna go on in the post show and talk about various things, including apocalyptic /
The plague.
plague based literature, I guess, and some magic thing probably, so Tam doesn't get sad.
A Sound of Thunder is about time travel.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? I might have actually. Anyway, post show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you want to catch the post show and you're watching this on YouTube, it's $1 on the Patreon, and you get the pre-show, the weird ad break interlude that generally happens, and the post show for just $1 a month. It's super easy. Like, subscribe, you know the drill on YouTube stuff. We really appreciate you watching, and we appreciate
Get on this list.
We appreciate comments on any of the forums or ways you get access to this. We do read those, and we do actually care.
we were wounded.
It's even constructive, ideally, but we appreciate any feedback you want to give us. So we're gonna wrap this up. Tune into the post show, and everybody, stay safe. Do your best to stay healthy, and remember who you are.